guys are sounding pretty good this morning. I need lots of volume. So, if you're visiting with us, by the way, if you're new to this congregation today, this is not the way we normally are. This is because we have 5 Sundays in the month, so this is my tradition of doing a 5th Sunday sing, where you just try and do a whole bunch of hymns and praise songs. Kids are welcome to stay with us. Teachers don't have to go out and teach Sunday school classes. Stan and Alvin get to sit in the chancel floor instead of up in the nave floor instead of up in the balcony. They get to be with us and have a good time. We are supposed to be having a worship experience through the music that you're singing. So I hope that happens for you. If you're a non-singer, every now and then there's a non-singer out there, just read the words, make it your prayers, make it your words for the day to God, and say, hey, I'm offering all of this back to God this way. Now, normally, let me explain. Well, first of all, let me go back to that if you're a visitor deal, because there is a little card, a visitor card in the pew if you're a visitor, and you would fill that out for us. We would appreciate that. You see, Ernie LaCalci doesn't have to do all the announcements all the time. Ernie's actually on vacation. He'll have someone else next week as well. But we do welcome you to do that and be part of that. Let me talk about how 5th Sunday sings are normally created when I do them and why it wasn't that way this time. Normally, you would get a sheet, and it would, 2 weeks in advance. Here, I think it's going to have to be a month in advance. And on that sheet, it would say, please list your favorite hymn. And because people are so funny about this, the praise song you like the most. I don't let them say your favorite, because a lot of people scratch. I don't have any favorite praise songs. No, but a praise song that you like the most, or you hate the least, take your pick. And that sheet then comes into me, and I take all of those titles, and I just type them down, go Word document, type them down, alphabetize them, and pretty soon I see, oh, look, 4 people picked Amazing Grace. 2 people picked How Great Thou Art. 6 people picked, whatever it is, that kind of thing. And they're all then categorized, prioritized that way. And that determines which hymns are going to be in there. One of the reasons we didn't do it that way here is because at this point I seem to know about 1/10 of the praise songs that you do. I can learn 1 or 2 or 3 new praise songs if I need to. I'm not totally out of that, but I don't have the stockpile of praise songs that you're going to see here. So how did we get today's service? I went back over about the last 15 years of doing 5th Sunday sings in about 6 different congregations around the valley floor. And I listed all of their songs on a sheet, alphabetized, and found out which ones occurred the most from these churches, which ones occurred the least. And then I prioritized them, said, that's the songs we're going to sing. And for the most part, I think it's going to work. I know the praise songs are probably older praise songs for some of you. You'll say, oh yeah, I remember that 20 years ago. But you'll get along with that okay. And the hymns, I did hear the Brown Baggers a few days, and I think a lot of the hymns are things that they have normally picked anyhow. So that's how it's determined. The next opportunity is September. There's 5 Sundays in September. I might put out a sheet the very first part of September and say, pick out your favorite songs, and we'll see if we can put one together if you want to do that. Please feel free to say afterwards, that wasn't really helpful for me to worship God that way. It is a Sunday this way that gives Alvin and Stan time down from the booth. It makes it so Yvette doesn't have to do a worship bulletin. The announcements were up for everybody who came in early. They were up right until 9:28 when we practiced a song. They will go back up afterwards. There's not too many. There's an important one in there about deacons having a nice hot dog luncheon or brunchin or whatever we want to call it at 10:30 for us this morning. Now, did I see that changing? Because our announcement said in the hut. Are we going to be in the hut? No, we're going to be in Truscott. Okay, I thought I saw that change. So don't pay attention to that announcement. We're going to be in Truscott for our little hot dog luncheon, and it should be kind of fun for us all that way. I think that's the biggest part of the deal. Now, Diane, yes?
Several kids, last thought soul, they want to go to Sunday school.
Oh, they want to go to Sunday school. Okay.
So dismiss whenever you feel it's
Okay,
ready.
well, then we will dismiss them with the announcements here. The kids can go on to Sunday school and have a nice Sunday school lesson if they want to do that. That is fine, no problem. We're pretty loose today. I do want to mention one more thing. There is a secret going through this service today, and I want to see how sharp some of you are. So I'm not going to tell you the secret until we get to the very end, and I'll see if you've picked up the secret about the songs and the worship service this morning. So kids, off to Sunday school if you're going. Otherwise, you are certainly welcome to stay here. And who's our teacher today? Oh, off and running. You guys can have a good time, and us adults, we're going to go ahead and come back. I think, are there any other announcements that need to be shared this morning? Anything else you need to have? What?
The website,
Oh, thank you.
and Christy.
Christy, oh, you want me to mention that too? Okay, so there's two more announcements that we want to discuss. One is the website has the Mexico Mission PowerPoint up. If you want to go on the website now and do that, Stan's been busy putting that together. The other thing is, yes, everybody's shocked that I am here, as I promised you last week, dressed in blue jeans and a shirt that I would be like if I were at Campfire up at Calvin Crest. That was the idea of the morning. Think about being at Campfire, you're doing a bunch of fun singing and having a good time at the campfire. Christy chose to do her youthfulness because where we grew up, a lot of those campfires were at the beach. So she's dressed like the girl at the beach who's going to campfire at Santa Monica Beach or at Huntington State Park or Will Rogers State Park. A lot of our youth group stuff took place in the summertime at those beaches in California. So that's our dress. That explains that and why I look the way I do. It's a morning of singing and having a good time. All right, let's get them going here, Christy, again. We'll do ones that I'm sure you know. Jesus, name above all names, beautiful Savior, glorious Lord, Emmanuel, God is with us, blessed Redeemer, living Word. Jesus, name above all names, beautiful Savior, glorious Lord, Emmanuel, God is with us, blessed Redeemer, living Word. Our God is an awesome God. He reigns from heaven above with wisdom, power, and love. Our God is an awesome God. Our God is an awesome God. He reigns from heaven above with wisdom, power, and love. Our God is an awesome God. Be thou my vision, O Lord of my heart. Not be all else to me, save that thou art. Thou my best thought, by day or by night. Waking or sleeping, thy presence I find. We're gonna have a little competition here now, folks. You see what it says? The guys are not singing, the ladies are. So ladies, it starts. Be thou my best. Come on, ladies, get up there. I am with thee, and thou with me. Good job. The guys know what's next, right? 'Tis thy name, Lord, man's empty praise. Thou my inheritance, now and always. Thou and thou only, first in my heart. victory won. May I reach heaven's joy, oh bright heaven's sun. Heart of my own heart, whatever befall, still be my vision, oh ruler of all. Not bad. The ladies were a little weak, but the guys did fine. All right, I got my page turned, Christy. There are certain slides in there that I get to turn pages on, so she knows how. Change my heart, oh God, make it ever true. Change my heart, oh God, may I be like you. You are the potter, I am the clay. Mold me and make me, this is what I pray. Change my heart, oh God, make it ever true. Change my heart, oh God, may I be like you. Amazing grace. Oh, let's get it right. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found. Was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear, the hour I first believed. Through many dangers, toils, and snares, I have already done. 'Tis grace has brought me safe thus far, and grace will lead me home. Now this song is one that you know or that you don't know that you know. Take it either way you want it. This song is one that we get to thank the Texas Tenors for, okay? And hopefully, most of you look like you know, oh Danny boy, right? You know, Danny boy. So that's what this is, oh Danny boy, right? Believe it or not, a great classic hymn tune called Londonderry, okay? Also, as we did earlier with those who were early, a beer drinking song, oh Danny boy, right? But in this case, it's one that is from the great hymn of the Londonderry era. And if you look in the hymnal, probably the one right in front of you, you can go back to the hymn tunes and you can look up Londonderry and you'll see 3 or 4 different hymns that use this tune. But this one is given to us by the Texas Tenors at the end of Oh Danny Boy on their cut. Amazing grace shall always be my song of praise, for it was grace that brought me liberty. I do not know just why he came to love me so. He looked beyond my fault and saw my need. Now, a lot of these songs have things I attribute them to, special people. That particular one comes from the Coalinga Church last year. They actually did something that had never been done before. I was doing a 3-week series, the last one to be the 5th Sunday of July last year. I gave them the sheets, they knew the routine, they put down their hymns, they put down their praise songs, and out of about 40 people that turned in sheets, there was not one duplicate. Never saw that before. Everybody, and when I mentioned that to them, they said, see, that's why we all get along so well. Because we don't really care about anything, we just do our own thing and move on. Very interesting phenomenon, but that actually came because Ruth Davenport there said, hey, do you know that tune that uses Londonderry? Oh yeah, I think I could dig that up. We didn't do it quite that well last year, but it's a little better. It's time for us to take our offering because if I don't take an offering, the session fires me. So we're not going to let that happen. The guys are all ready to take the offering. We're going to sing, if you know, we're going to sing a couple songs. I've got 2 in here that you may not know. One that's a hymn from 1971 called Here I Am, Lord, and the other called the Glory Hymn. Now the Glory Hymn is older than that. It's an old Baptist set of words, but 2 years ago, Nashville musicians got together, some studio guys, and said, let's make this a little perky and have some fun. So it's called the Glory Hymn. If you know them, please sing out loud. If you don't, well, make it your offering words anyhow. All right, guys, you're up. I, the Lord of sea and sky, I have heard my people cry, all who dwell in dark and sin, my hands will save. I who made the stars of night, I will make their darkness bright, who will bear my light to them? Whom shall I send? Here I am, Lord. Is it I, Lord? I have heard you calling in the night. I will go, Lord, if you lead me. I will hold your people in my heart. I, the Lord of wind and flame, I will tend the poor and lame. I will set a feast for them. My hand will save. Finest bread I will provide, till their hearts be satisfied. I will give my life to them. Whom shall I send? Here I am, Lord. Is it I, Lord? I have heard you calling in the night. I will go, Lord, if you lead me. I will hold your people in my heart. When all my labors and trials are all over, and I am safe on that beautiful shore, just to be near the sweet Lord I adore, that will be glory for me. Oh, that will be glory. Oh, glory for me. When by His grace I look on His face, that will be glory for me. When by the gift of His infinite grace I am afforded in heaven a place, just to be there and to look on His face, that will be glory for me. Oh, that will be glory. Oh, glory for me. When by His grace I look on His face, that will be glory for me. Friends will be there I have loved long ago. Joy like a fountain around me will flow. Get just a smile from my Savior, I know. That will be glory for me. Oh, that will be glory. Oh, glory for me. When by His grace I look on His face, that will be glory for me. When by His grace, don't worry, Christy, look on His face, don't worry, that will be glory for me. Isn't that a fun tune? I owe that to the associate pastor at the last church where I was the interim. He introduced me to that, and I've just loved it ever since. Let's get something that you guys will all know and do very well. In the key of G, if you're working there, Dave. Good key for mandolin, G, I think. Work okay. Great is thy faithfulness, O God my Father. There is no shadow of turning with thee. Thou changest not, thy compassions they fail not. As thou hast been, thou forever wilt be. Great is thy faithfulness, great is thy faithfulness. Morning by morning, new mercies I see. All I have needed, thy hand hath provided. Great is thy faithfulness, Lord, unto me. Pardon for sin and a peace that endureth, thine own dear presence to cheer and to guide, strength for today and bright hope for tomorrow. Blessings all mine with 10,000 beside. Great is thy faithfulness, great is thy faithfulness. Morning by morning, new mercies I see. All I have needed, thy hand hath provided. Great is thy faithfulness, Lord, unto me. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you. To see you high and lifted up, shining in the light of your glory. Pour out your power and love as we sing, holy, holy, holy. Holy, holy, holy. Holy, holy, holy. Holy, holy, holy. I want to see you. Holy, holy, holy. Holy, holy, holy. Holy, holy, holy. I want to see you. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you. So you've probably noticed a distinct difference in the morning worship. One of the things is I'm not having you stand up, but I'm going to change that right now. This is a Lutheran tradition, if you do not know it. The Lutheran tradition is to stand for the reading of the gospel. Would you stand as we hear the gospel of Jesus Christ, recorded in Luke chapter 9, verses 51 through 62. As the time approached for him to be taken up to heaven, Jesus resolutely set out for Jerusalem, and he sent messengers on ahead who went into a Samaritan village to get things ready for him. But the people there did not welcome him because he was heading to Jerusalem. When the disciples, James and John, saw this, they asked, "Lord, do you want us to call fire down from heaven to destroy them?" But Jesus turned and rebuked them, and then went to another village. As they were walking along the road, a man said to him, "I will follow you everywhere you go." Jesus replied, "Foxes have holes, and the birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man has no place to lay his head." He said to another man, "Follow me." But the man replied, "Lord, first let me go and bury my father." Jesus said to him, "Let the dead bury their own dead, but you go and proclaim the kingdom of God." Still another said, "I will follow you, Lord, but first let me go back and say goodbye to my family." Jesus replied, "No one who puts his hand to the plow and looks back is fit for service in the kingdom of God." So may we be blessed with the power of God's word in our life today. Please be seated. So, I was really disappointed when I saw this scripture come up for this morning. I thought, man, that's one of those tough ones. You kind of need to do a whole sermon. And I promised you I wasn't doing a sermon today. This is just devotional thoughts to help you get through your day and think about this a little bit. So I want to kind of go back over it and at least make it a little easier for us in one way. First of all, you notice that Jesus is resolutely heading towards Jerusalem. He's not doing this with some kind of just, let's go down to Save Mart today, or let's hang out over at, Costco or something. He's doing this with a direct purpose and a mission in mind. He understands what needs to take place. And on the way, there's this odd thing, because he chooses what the devout Jew would not do. The devout Jew, there's a route that goes out and around through Jericho. You never touch Samaria when you take that route coming down from the north. But Jesus says, we're going through the Samaria area. I don't know if you know how that worked, but the Samaritans, when the dispersion took place, right, they weren't as faithful as some of the other tribes, and they intermarried with foreigners. So when the Orthodox Jews came back and are established in Jerusalem, they didn't like those people. No, you're impure. You mixed with those other races of the world. But they said, no, we love God. We know that. Our father was Abraham. They had all the things. So they set up shop, and they had a holy place up in Mount Gerizim. Okay, they said, this is where the temple will be. Of course, the Orthodox Jews went to Jerusalem, said, no, this is where the temple will be. And they set up quite this distinction, and there was always this battle between the two. The impure ones up here, and isn't it interesting that Jesus says, I'm here for the impure ones on my way to the Orthodox ones. He's going to walk that way. And the impure ones say, you're going where? You're going to go down and talk to those folks? Battle was strong enough. They said, nope, you don't get to sleep here tonight. Isn't that a weird thing to think about? You know, that they are rejecting this man just because he's headed to that point. Now, I don't know if you know, but our San Joaquin Presbytery is a fairly conservative presbytery. I was once spat on at General Assembly because I was from the San Joaquin Presbytery. Whoa! That was very strange, but I think that's what Jesus must have felt like. Then the other part of the story, which I think is our part of the story, is his two disciples. Hey, we're going to be like Elijah. We're going to call down flames from heaven and boom, wipe this place out, right? Do something of taking out the town for their sin. And Jesus says, no, we're not going to kill the bad people. We're not going to kill those who have said no to me. We're going to keep going. We're going to go on our mission and do this. I think that's one of the things that we need to learn, is that sometimes we get reactive to somebody like that. Well, we're going to take care of them, boy. And Christ says, no, you have a mission. Let's go forward and proclaim the kingdom of God. And while they do that, then, a man comes and says, hey, I'm going to follow you wherever you go. He really likes Jesus. And I assume this is, again, maybe a Samaritan from that same region. We haven't gotten to Jerusalem yet. And he says, I'll follow you. I'll be glad to do that. And he says, but I've got to bury my dad. Now, we hear this and we think, well, that's kind of weird, His dad just died or something? Or his dad is dying and he's got to bury him? And Jesus said, no, don't take a few days to do that. That's a pretty harsh sentence. But let's help you through the day a little bit on that one, because that's a hard lesson. You see, burying your dad then, even if his dad was just barely dying and his dad was going to die, his dad would go in the tomb, wrapped with the linens, wrapped with all stuff. The burying takes place 1 complete year later, okay? When things have decomposed and things have gone, we're down to the bones, they go into a thing called an ossuary. He puts them in there, and then they go in these cracks and crevices inside. They're no longer in the tomb. So burying his dad could take him a year of his time. Don't wait a year to follow Jesus Christ, okay? Christ said, let the dead bury their own stuff. They're there, and they're going to be those bones when you get back one way or another. And he says, don't do that. And then the man says, hey, I'm going to follow you, but first of all, oh wait, I missed one of our guys, didn't I? The man who says, I'll follow you wherever you go, he says, there's no place to lay his head. I got the bury guy first. Hold on, let's back up to one more person. He says, hey, I don't have any place to rest my head. Now, that just took place. So we assume he is a Samaritan. He says, I can't even rest my head down here. They have no place for me to rest. And you want to follow me? And you get the picture that sometimes the journey following Christ isn't going to be easy. We're not going to have restful sleep and a good night's rest because people are going to reject us. People may spit on us at the General Assembly when we go to places like that. And then the final man says, hey, I just want to go back and say goodbye to my family. I can't give him an excuse like the others. But Jesus also does something very interesting. He says, hey, once you've made this commitment, put your hand on that plow. If you intend to go straight forward with this, you better keep your hand on the plow and keep going. And I don't know if he's saying, don't go say bye to your family, or if he's saying, let your family catch up to you. Let them see how straight your line's running and come up and talk to me. But there are hard lessons in this passage today, and I hope that somehow you'll take a message away today and you'll say, hey, I'm going to think about what it means to be a person of Christ, where maybe I have to resolutely set my path straight forward like Christ did. Or maybe I have to remember that Christ doesn't want me to bring fire and brimstone down on other people. That's not my job. God will take care of those things. Or maybe he says, hey, you're going to have restless nights. You may not have a place to rest your head if you're out there doing this work. We are always nervous about it. A couple of friends, I don't know if you're going to get to meet them. They're going to be here in July, but we're having trouble working out dates and times. Their pulpit supplies are already all filled up. But the Callisons are missionaries over in northern Iraq. Can you imagine being missionaries in northern Iraq? Christy and I are restless many nights thinking about what's taking place for Greg and Chris, worried about them. So thinking about those kinds of things. Following may not be easy. And then, of course, don't spend a year saying, well, shall I do this? Shall I not do this? It's time to do it, folks. It's time to follow Christ. Be following straight forward. And then, of course, to make sure that that plow runs straight as you do it. Christy, let's move on. I know we did this one just a couple of weeks back, but it's a good one. You did it well then. Let's sing it now. I come to the garden alone, while the dew is still on the roses, and the voice I hear falling on my ear, the Son of God discloses. And he walked with me, and he talked with me, and he tells me I am his own. And the joy we share as we take names of the people I know who need your prayers. John, Diane, Morgan, Pat, Melanie, Lucia, Mary, Janice, and Margaret. There may be other names that you'd like us to be praying for, and you may not know all of these people. You may say, oh, I don't know that one. That's okay. Pray for the people that you know as we pray together. Offer a time to God to say, yep, I've come to the garden and I'm alone with you and I want to be praying for these people. These are people that I've heard over the past few weeks or I've visited, been around, and I know that they will appreciate the fact that you're bringing them before God's throne for God's care to their life. Are there any other concerns or prayers that you might like to shout out this morning that we need to be praying